Hello, people. Welcome to the Akon podcast. Sorry for missing last week, but this is me, MZ, and I'm joined again by Spuds.
Hello, people, and welcome to the Questing Community Hub podcast. This isn't the Akon podcast anymore, but whatever. I'm SpudsOfTheApocalypse. I'm your co-host for this evening. We don't have any guests, but if anybody who's listening wants to jump in at some point, they can.
Right. So, one of the reasons we don't have guests is because we have like a proper concrete topic we wanted to talk about. And that is everyone's favorite thing about quests, which is when everybody gets angry, salt is everywhere, and everybody starts hating everyone. We call them shitstorms, but recently we've started being called salt storms because, salty.
Because salt is actually a pretty new expression as far as I can tell. People didn't call it that back in 2014 and so on.
I guess it sort of got more popular as the fighting game community started to use the term salt.
But so it shitstorms or salt storms, as people call them, or salt in general, not specific to like big events, is an interesting thing. In that, I mean, most of the time it's obviously because of a QM fuck up. I think we can say that pretty confidently. Or what do you think, MZ?
I think it's more. Uh, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people to blame. It's very. It's hard to pin blame on one person or the other. Questdrone
But
points out
I
actually that
mean,
he considers a
that's
salt storm to be when the QM is pissed off at the players, and a shitstorm is when the players are pissed off at the QM, which is
actually quite close to how it's generally used.
yeah. I mean, as far as shitstorms go, since I've quested a bit, I've weathered a few in my time, and they're always horrible, horrible experiences that make me not want to, quest anymore. But you get through them. I think every QM has to have like one big shitstorm sometime during their questing career.
Yeah. That's
I
because
don't know.
depravity is one of those
Shitstorm.
quests
The
where like the
main
direction of the
shitstorm I
quest
can
was
think of.
perfectly in line.
Um, Depravity, for some reason, I can't remember having any shitstorms. I just remember that being a rosy colored happiness where every session I got bored sometimes, but every session was fun and homely and everything was just great. But all of my other quests had massive shitstorms that made me hate them.
With the directions the players wanted to take it. I think, I mean, you can still get shitstorms when you have that, like Banished Quest, but I think they're a lot more limited in that situation than they would be otherwise, and they're rarer as well. I heard.
Chat's bring up a good point actually. That World of Lewdness has a shitstorm basically every week, which is pretty hilarious, all things considered.
I remember HoloQuest Redux being the same after a certain point. I
I
think it's
think
his
that's just
fault.
something
He
the QM
fucks it up.
attracts for some reason. It's like, yeah,
It's not his crowd, it's not just random. It's because he writes his quests in a way which encourages it.
yeah. I disagree with some of what he did. Like for me, there was a character named Jack who was in his quest and who I think got hit by a meteor and got written out of the quest, and now they're not in the quest anymore. Which, you know, I can understand why that's a bit of a shitstorm, things considered.
I haven't read VOL in a long while, but I remember hearing that there was a problem where the QM restricted a path that the characters could take And they told them that they couldn't like grind out more skills before going to a more difficult area or situation or whatever. And then another character criticized them for not doing that thing, for not grinding out more skills or whatever. And you know what that reminded me of? A hell of a lot.
What did it remind you of?
It reminded me of a certain quest called Princess Guard Quest.
Yeah. So, fun fact, viewers, as part of the research for this, I had to read Princess Guard Quest, and I fucking hate Spuds for making me read it. I've read a lot of bad quests in my time, like a lot. Like just by following Akon in general, you can pretty easily like read dozens of really bad quests. But I think Princess Guard Quest takes the cake as far as bad goes. It's just like it's disrespect. Okay, I think I felt disrespected just by reading it, and I can't even imagine what it was like to play it live. Because oh my fucking god, it's like Archeleon hated people. It's like he despised his player base. It's like, dude, what the? It's
He was the way I remember it. He wasn't even really a Channer or whatever you call it. He wasn't a TG guy at all, or on 4chan at all.
yeah. I mean, it feels like it. As far as things go, it's like when he's I don't know, man. The way the quest was written, everybody felt like it was from a frickin' budget anime. You're brought up to be the bodyguard of the princess, and it's basically a cruel, elaborate joke by the upper class because they wanted a pet for the princess. It's fucked up, all things considered, man. Like, the basic premise of that quest makes no sense unless you assume that literally everybody in higher power is a complete deranged psychopath because they go around making peasants fight each other to the near death so they can get one special peasant to have as a pet to placate the one princess who treats everyone like shit. I don't fucking get it. Why is the 8-year-old more powerful than the main character? It's just no.
The princess keeps the princess keeps mocking and deriding the main character constantly as well, and she almost kills him at least once.
Yeah, to be fair, I would too. He's a useless bodyguard. What kind of bodyguard is weaker than literally everyone he's protecting? His
Well,
official job title should be meat shield.
I mean, basically every bodyguard in anime is like that.
I suppose. If you want a bodyguard, like I don't know, man. I don't think you should call them a bodyguard in that case. Call them bullet shield.
Well, that's what bodyguards are literally. That's what the name comes from. They're supposed to guard people with their bodies, stand in front of the line of fire. That's what they're trained for, you know?
The implication is that they can actually fight back.
Well, that's not what that training is generally.
Yeah, but I mean, Jesus Christ, dude, it's like a fucking. To me, it doesn't make sense to have a bodyguard that's weaker than everyone around them. It's.
I mean, I think it's really dumb.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Like, okay, so the very basic details of the setting make no sense. Like
Wait, wait.
the idea is that the main character has been in the army for several years. That's part of
No,
his backstory.
I think I understand now.
But in this world, learning magic is casually easy and quite available to most people. And it gives you an enormous advantage to anyone who doesn't use magic. And this guy has been a soldier for several years, and he
And he
knows
doesn't know magic.
absolutely nothing.
No,
Why
I
wouldn't
understand it, dude. Listen.
why wouldn't they educate him in the army for doing
No, it
do
makes sense. Listen, the reason is the nobles are all actually evil wannabe video game bosses, and every video game boss is like the strongest guy as the final boss. So they have all these weak little shit guys as the chaff, like the mid bosses. So they must have just got a random peasant off the street to be the mid boss. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
I mean, if they're supposed to be fighting bandits, what sort of... I mean, wouldn't the bandits have access to magic?
Yes, you would think that a bandit would learn magic quite. That's like one of the first things you should do as a
That's what
bandit.
anybody would do in this setting because
Yeah,
it's so easy and anybody can do it. And it's so commonly available as well.
yeah. Well, instead of riling on Princess God Quest, I should probably say, yeah. So I thought the quest was really bad, and then I got to the duel, and yeah, the duel is really, really bad. Uh,
Yes, the great
if
shitstorm of our time.
Yes, if it wasn't for the fact that I mistakenly thought I had to keep reading, I would have dropped it there. I mean, I would have dropped it in like the third thread because it's really not that good. But that's a special type of bad. I mean, god damn it, dude. So for people listening, in Princess Guard Quest, you play the role of Reinhold, who has got a very strange name that isn't quite Reinhardt. And he's just this dude who gets invited as a bodyguard for a princess, called the Princess Guard. And a long story short, there's this dickbag named Monique who decides to do a lot of mean stuff to the main character and then fights the main character in a one-on-one duel. Which, as you can tell, is a very, very fun, exciting prospect. It will be good for character growth no matter what happens. And the best thing about it is it's a duel with no magic, and the main character's one thing is, he might be weaker than literally everybody who has a modicum of magic, but if there's no magic, then he should be able to win, right? Then the other guy shows up with like one of the 7 magic swords that exist in the setting. He just found it off screen, and it's his waifu now, and he has super ice powers.
Well, I mean, it was technically wasn't off screen.
And
There was a like a 5-line interlude of when he found it, a single post describing the event.
yeah, and then
Several threads earlier.
and then he fought the main character and used ice magic, which I'm not sure about you, but I don't understand the idea how using an ice magic sword in a not magic duel is very fair.
Because it wasn't his magic. I don't know.
No, that's retarded though. So it's like if I go for someone in a UFC fight and we agree no guns, and one of my friends with a sniper rifle shoots my opponent, I don't get to say, "Oh, I didn't use a gun. You didn't say that other people around me could." It doesn't matter. It's fucking retarded. It makes no sense. Like, if Monique had been like dishonored after it, it's fucking no. I don't. Yeah, Matthew brings up a good point. It's
Well,
like, yeah, the rules were no gun hands, but I'm Bayonetta. I shoot with my feet. That doesn't. It's still not following the fucking rules of the thing. Like the spirit of the law rather than the word of the law. So the main character fights Monique and gets fucking wrecked because the guy has a magic sword, and Arkelion changed the rolling system so that you need like double 20s to do anything. So the main character
well,
basically
I
gets
mean, that sort of made sense. It's just that the situation from the start was sort of...
no,
No, but the thing is that this whole thing is fine so
no.
far.
The
To
worst
be
part
to
about
be
it,
honest, or at least kind of fine.
you see,
The problem is what happened afterwards.
so here I'd say like, this would be fine. It could serve as a crux for character growth. It's complete bullshit, like complete bullshit, like 110% bullshit. But I could deal with it if it led to like important character growth afterwards. But you don't rub the salt in the wounds by having like everyone else run in front of Monique and say, "I'm gonna beat you up with my magic." That's just fucking rude. I don't know
No, but
anybody.
there's another problem which happens later, which is that you'd think that this guy Monique would, because he won on a technicality or whatever, wouldn't be well regarded by most people.
But yeah, no, he's celebrated as like fucking yeah. Our dude, you're the best, Monique. Let's suck your nuts more, Monique. You're the best. You're the best. It's
Yeah, and that's why PGQ is, well, it's not technically the worst written, though it's not very good at that either. But
if
when it comes to storyline, I don't think I've read a storyline or setting which I like less. I mean, if I really dig, I might find something. I mean, there's always like relatively obscure stuff like not Asia Quest, which is always going to be worse than anything else. But for popular quests, I can't think of anything worse than Princess Guard.
see, like I fucking hate it, dude. As far as things go, do you know how bad it was when I was reading it? I just played Dark Souls 2 instead. I fucking hate Dark Souls 2. I'd rather play Dark Souls 2 than read that quest. And Dark Souls 2 is a special kind of shit. And Princess Garth Quest might just be worse. That's no Exhaustion. Dark Souls 2 wasn't fun. It's garbage. Get some fucking taste. Play 1 or 3 or Bloodborne or Demon. Just don't play 2. It's so bad.
To give you context, no, someone in chat said DS2 was fun. Dot dot dot. Also, stop using ellipses, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. I don't know. Dark Souls 2 is bad because of the same way Princess Guard Quest is bad. You go in expecting something nice, you go in expecting something good, and your character is this retarded cripple who actually can't do anything and just swings around styrofoam for about 120 hours. They get hit by absolutely everything because, well, in Princess Guard Quest it's a shitty dice system, but in Dark Souls 2 it's because you didn't know ADP was a stat until people figured it out 2 days after the fucking thing. And there's also this part where the character has to basically be a complete shit and not be able to walk while they're getting paced with magic. So yeah, it is Dark Souls 2. It's Princess Guard Quest. So, speaking of something that is a lot less bad, um, I don't know, it's not as offensively bad, but it's still pretty bad in some points. Let's bring up the other huge shitstorm. So, what have you been
Yeah.
reading, Spud? What did you get in this fantastic exchange?
I read the first 50, 60 threads of Shadow Quest.
Okay, so just to make the viewers know, I had to read Princess Guard Quest, and he got to read Shadow Quest. What a fun equivalent exchange.
But Shadow Quest is, I'd say it's interesting, except that it isn't. It's the opposite of interesting. Like, it has some ambitions, it has some ideas. Those ideas aren't exactly well executed, and it's a bit of an incoherent mess in general.
Well, as far as things go, I think Shadow Quest really pioneered the type of upgrade system that gets people's Spurg running. I
Yes,
think
and
that,
I do think that Shadow Quest had an upgrade system which gets people to Spurg. That's what I remember from when I actually played it live the first couple of threads before I got bored of it. I thought, well, what are the implications of these upgrades for a fighting style, and what sort of decisions should we make for advancement, and
mm,
all of those things. And it makes it can make it interesting to play, but it's one hell of a dull archive crawl, I have to say,
mm.
because that's all it has, really. But so I read up. I didn't quite get to the first big shitstorm, and from what I hear in Shadow Quest, there's plenty. But the first shitstorm is it's a sort of weird romance thing. Can you explain a bit more about that, MZ?
There is a lolly in the quest who is the first person the character meets. Rule number 1, do not age up the lolly. Rule number 2, do not turn a platonic relationship into a sexual one with said lolly. He did both. He broke both the rules at once.
Yeah.
So,
So, and it was. made weirder by the fact that it was simultaneously like SS and an old man having sex with a little kid at the same time.
I think the most fucked up thing is at the very end of the quest, it's revealed that the person is basically a reincarnation of the main character's sister.
Okay, no, I didn't. Okay, that's
So
what?
it's so it's brother sister incest, SS and old man on lolly at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, man. That's fucked up. That's
And the
really
main
fucked up.
character is also a sentient shadow being.
Yeah. Thing is, he doesn't use any of that sentient shadow being stuff.
it's now that I've hear it all laid out to me, it sounds like my Japanese LMs or whatever.
So for the readers who don't know, Shadow Quest wasn't really a smut quest. It was this adventure quest. It had its ups, it had some downs. But eventually, the main character meets back up with this little girl that he met and really liked, and he took her to her uncle's, and they played and had fun at this evil murder island of evil sorcerers. And so she became of age, and then they threw her into a pocket dimension where she was basically forced to go through mental trauma to mature. And during that time, she gained a sexual attraction for the sentient shadow being that could barely speak. And then the main character sort of met them. And yeah, Mathrian, this was a very safe for work adventure quest. It's like if normal D&D was run by not people from JTTRPG, but normal people. Uh,
Well, I mean, the sentient shadow being could speak when they met
yeah,
last
but
time.
oh yeah, good point. But I think when they first met, he couldn't speak
When they
properly.
first met, when they first met, she was a little kid and he couldn't speak except in images.
Yeah. So as far as things go, like in this very happy-go-lucky, well, not happy-go-lucky because it's pretty edgy. This
No, not happy-go-lucky, but
this
this sort of semi or semi-dark adventure story about being a shadow monster. Uh, this
yeah,
happened.
she gets thrown into the pocket dimension, ages up, and then spends the rest of the quest boning or wanting to bone the big shadow blob, which doesn't even be a shadow blob after a while. It turns into a dude. If you could do that, at least make the shadow blob use its shadow blobby powers. I mean, there's so much potential there, but you just wasted it for a freaking no. Just like hiding under clothes and stuff. That's some good shit, man. That's good shit. You don't throw
So
that away.
you're saying you should have gone full smart?
Yes, man. If you're gonna go,
Shadow shadow tentacle sex
yes, exactly.
graphic? Yeah,
You should
okay.
go all the way. Don't end it. Yeah. Okay. So to our readers, that was the first major shitstorm of Shadow Quest. Emphasis on first.
But what sort of were there any mistakes made in player QM communication, or was it just the content of the quest itself?
I mean, evidently he thought people wanted to bone her and decided to age it up without realizing that that's like half the reason people liked her gone. So I think there's some serious miscommunication there. But no, man.
Do you think it wasn't do you think it wasn't just that he misunderstood what people wanted? Do you think it was also that he said something that people took offense to somehow?
I think he might have misunderstood what people wanted, all things considered. Uh, yeah, I think he did. Just
Did he antagonize his players in a way which brought it on, or was it?
they just got mad.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know Arcleon antagonized his players and also misunderstood his audience and also hated his audience and didn't want to do what they wanted to do and, everything wrong, basically.
He basically should have done the VN from the start.
I mean, from what we've seen of the VN demo, which he's put out, Somebody could probably link it in the video description, I guess.
At the end,
So
they
people
look like
watching at
they're from
home afterwards
Adventure
can check
Quest.
it out.
They look like they're from Adventure Quest.
No, but based on what we saw of that in the spooky shit posting cabal, um, yeah, no, that's nobody would buy that unless they were an already invested audience member. And he actually got people invested in his quest, so he'll probably sell some copies if he actually puts it out now.
I call it the sunk cost fallacy. I think by the time of the duel, the only people playing were people who were there from the start.
Well, I was there from the start. I wasn't playing by nay. I dropped out
So it's
far,
falling for
far,
the sunk
far
cost
before the
fallacy.
end.
Yeah. Um, Shadow Quest had additional shitstorms later on. At one point, the main character's best friend gets kidnapped by a invisible airship, and then a sentient mass of elemental force decides to appear out of nowhere and beats up the player. And then everybody got super mad at the QM because, dude, what the fuck? That makes no sense. Um, to make things like, to put this in context, the main character spent like a good 10 threads making things making things so like nothing could possibly go wrong, and that this one very vital moment didn't fuck up. The invisible
You know
airship,
what? You know
army of
what I
demons.
think both Shadow Quest and PGQ had in common beyond shitstorms. You know what I caused as shitstorms?
What?
It's that they're both quite shitty quests. One of them much shittier than the other, and somehow got a huge audience because they had some element which really attracted people.
Yeah.
For PGQ, it was that there weren't many quests running at the time, and Arcleon was updating every single day, like you do. So people came to them because they were starved for other content, and there was a lot of content being put out.
Wait, did I just hear some implications?
Well, I mean, that's kind of why people follow you. Be fucking honest with yourself. You know this.
Oh yeah, of course it is. Pro tip to literally everybody who ever wants to QM ever: if you want an audience that's bigger than like 10 people, all you have to do is at the very start of your quest, you have to autistically run like 14 hours a day for like 3 weeks in a row, and then you'll get a huge audience, and they'll stay with you forever and ever, even when you want them to sometimes filter out.
Yeah, and that's what Arcleon did. That's and Shadow Quest sort of did, not quite to the same extent, but it was some of the same situation. But Shadow Quest had its upgrade system, which was perfectly constructed to activate the TG Spurg, basically. And they both had these elements which led to them having a huge audience despite them not having very good quests. But their abilities couldn't keep up with controlling that audience, so they kept getting shitstorms.
Yeah, fucking. God damn it,
It's
dude. Yeah.
like Contrived, he got an audience larger than what he could control. And he got a shitstorm because he started antagonizing his players and so on. But he actually has writing shops, so he was able to regain control mostly of his quest eventually. But these two guys really didn't. I mean, the way I understand it is that Arcleon eventually stabilized with a much smaller audience, while Contrived keeps a similar but slightly smaller audience than he did before.
Yeah.
Arcleon's audience just fell like a stone to like just a few percentages of what it was before.
Sorry, just grabbing my traditional British tea. There
And
we
I
go.
think that was the problem essentially.
Um,
You have any comments on Zion Quest? Never read it, but I hear you have.
Scion Quest, the main character got fucking cucked. uh, NTR always gets people mad. There is no exception. If you don't want shitstorms, don't put that in your quest.
That's all you have to say about Zion Quest.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's
There
no point
is,
chatting about. I haven't read it in ages, and you know, you haven't read it.
yeah, I understand. I understand.
It's more the fact that the
But
main
there is one more big shitstorm that I remember that we've both read,
is.
and that was Dragon Slayer Quest on Akon.
Oh right. Um, yeah. So that was probably the first time I got super mad at a quest. Uh,
I actually really liked all of the endings to that quest.
I mean, the main character slowly turning into a dragon was sort of cool. The
I mean, that was part of the setting.
little baby dragon was adorable, even when it started talking.
I mean, but you had a real problem with the ending. How about you speak your complaints?
Fucking all the other dragons got together. Then the ghost of the main bad guy, the character killed at the start, possesses her, and blah 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 blah. And
Was
then
it? No, I don't think it was the ghost of the main bad guy. It was the ghost of the main bad guy's father,
yes, of course,
who died thousands of years ago.
yeah, who possessed them through bloodlines. Fucking
And
JRPG shit.
and then the and then the Shet becomes a giant monster and everything explodes. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, and then he put it up to a vote where the only way to win would be to have nobody vote for a specific option.
But what did you think of the replacement ending?
I don't care. I fucking quit.
Oh, you didn't read it?
Oh, I thought, Jesus Christ, that's
I
fucking
think you
dumb.
would have. I think you would have preferred the replacement ending quite a bit.
Nox was probably my favorite QM before that happened. Um,
Seriously, Nox?
yeah, I really liked a lot of what Nox does.
You have shit taste.
Hey man, look, he one of the quests he ran before directly inspired depravity. Um, uh,
Which one was that? Corruption? No, not corruption. What could
greatest
it have
daughter in
been?
the galaxy.
Ah, hmm.
Glad not many people read that because otherwise I'd be like everybody would call me a plagiarist. Um, I really like that. I thought that Assassin Quest was I thought that was a very sweet quest. And I did like Magitech for a decent bit of time. Like for there was a period of time where he like ran those quests and then ran Familiar Quest. And like during that short period I thought, man, he's hitting all these things that I really like. He did QM.
Yeah, no, I think he has some really uneven quality. Like his Tower Girls thing is absolute junk. There's no revealing quality to it at all. I don't understand how he could write that, as a matter of fact.
Right, what, sorry?
He did the Tower Girls quest,
Oh yeah, right. Tower Girls Quest.
and that was honestly one of the worst quests I've read.
It was very
I mean, there's no point. There's no content. There's no plot. There's no. The porn isn't even good. It's just going from tower to tower and having sex with.
I think that you can't have a quest which is just smut. Oh
It
no.
it
Fucking
does no. It doesn't work. I mean,
mage,
you can if you have really good smart.
mage
What's his face? I think he's called Storier, who does mind control slash transformation shit.
everyone likes mind
He
control and Aiken.
what?
Everyone likes mind control and Aiken.
No, but I mean, he can actually write. So Uh, his stuff was good, and it was basically pure porn. But when you're pure porn, you have to have good smut. I mean, that's like if you only have smut, it has to be good. It doesn't. It's not enough if it just appeals to your fetishes or whatever. It has to be good.
Has to be that good shit.
It has to be that good shit.
Well, I don't know. As far as old Aiken goes, there were some very nice quests on there, and I enjoyed Nox's contribution to it, even if I don't like the stuff he has now. Um, but
What is he even writing now? Oh yeah, he's still doing Magitech. Fucking end Magitech, son of
uh,
a bitch.
the best thing
God.
is, like, Maid brought this up, but isn't it so fitting that a Tower Girls base quest has nothing but the girls going for it,
No,
and the girls aren't
of
even
course.
that good?
No, yeah, of course. I mean,
That just sum up Tower
I don't
Girls in a
understand
nutshell.
the appeal of the basic thing anyway. So of course I wouldn't understand the appeal of a quest based on it. But oh wait, he's doing Fate shit now.
Suppose. Kuro in the chat brings up a good point that like it always sucks when people die, like Naughty Bayonet and Evolution Quest, which I think was a very fun quest.
He runs on questionable questing still.
Yeah, I have like a million
But
QQ tabs open. I need to see if I follow any of his quests. Um, that time a QQ quest decided to copy the Alp quest formula. That was all right.
I mean, it's already done so several times.
Yeah, no, but like literally, like the Alp quest we on Aiken.
Yes, yes. No, I'm talking literally. I'm pretty sure. I think I've seen it. But yeah, BFQ. BFQ was great shit, and it had a
Blatant,
lot of stuff.
yeah, blatant fetish quest.
And that's an example of how even if you have a really smutty premise, having some real content to back it up is a good idea.
Yeah,
Uh, did you read London Fetish Quest? I mean, you
yeah, I
have to
did.
have.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
Mm.
Then it
I
died.
mean, you should write stuff like you should tune down the smut and have like some real stakes in your quest.
I try. Players hate
You
it.
try, but you never succeed.
Rude. Players hate it though.
Well, I don't. When I mean, you've no like you tried it for that alien thing, but you abandoned it really quickly, and you didn't have the right kind of stakes. You should write something which isn't just pure combat and then smart. Like you almost hit it right with depravity because there are some very limited stakes on depravity, and it's the stakes are not do not involve combat. What
Well,
you
what?
should do is that you should have something like depravity, but have it be actually difficult.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, I literally just put up a podcast. Yeah, I actually just did it.
No,
No, no, sorry,
you haven't.
no, sorry. I'm just I put up a vote in one of my quests, and people apparently want me to try something new, so I might attempt that for a little bit.
Like, I mean, you could do something based on Blood and Fetish Quest. I'd be interested in reading that, as a matter of
What,
fact.
what in the Scholomance setting?
I mean, quests which have gone have a concept similar to that have always been interesting to me, like
The
Polyhistoric Academy over on Questionable Questing. Have you read that?
say that again. The Magical Academy.
Polyhistoric Academy on Questionable Questing.
Oh, by Ixcree, I think.
Well, it's interesting because it's a sort of murder academy thing, similar to Scholomance, and the main character is like a human robot, but in a good way. Like it's deliberate. He's supposed to be a bit of a no, of a robot. I don't know how to explain. Whatever.
Begged to not do more Scholomance by Maid.
What do you think is wrong with Scholomance, Maidanon? Well, while he writes that out,
Yeah. Um, I think Scholomance setting is a little bit overplayed and it's too lethal. Um,
it's too lethal.
I think there's a
Well,
good line.
I think Polyester was limited the setting a bit more. It's not based on Scholomance, but it's very similar. It put more limits on what you could do with magic, and also removed a lot of what you could do with magic. Like the scale is lower, but it's more flexible, sort of thing. So there's a lot you can do, but it's not as you can't shatter the world with a thought.
I don't know. I think as far as things go, Polyhistor Academy has a male MC getting raped by a girl. Nice.
It does. It's actually one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever read. It's
Dubbing in a
pretty.
good way or a bad way?
No, it's like it's a great scene.
Okay,
It's just
disturbing in a good way.
yes, it's just very disturbing.
Nice.
Uh, that was pretty extreme.
I think,
So
uh,
okay, now speak.
yeah, I think that QQ, despite it having a bit of a bad rap, I think it has a lot of interesting quests on it. Granted,
It does.
I
It
tend
does.
to not read most of the interesting
It's
ones and just go for trashy instant gratification. But,
yeah. Well, I've I, I read quite a few quests on both space battles and so on. I'd say questionable questing, for some reason, probably has higher quality percentage wise than either of those two, and probably Anonkun as well.
suppose the thing is with Aiken is that there's a lot of complete crap that gets thrown under the radar.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, and there's a lot of crap which gets really popular as well.
That's yeah. No. Um Honestly, I'm in a really happy mood now. I think when I think of a quest, I automatically think it's a lot better than it probably actually was. Because the only other quest I've had to compare it with recently is Princess Guard quest.
What quest are you thinking when you say that? What quest are you thinking of?
You know, Nox's quest. It's like, it
Ah,
had
yes.
some problems, but at least it wasn't Princess Guard quest. And
So,
reading the front.
the Princess Guard quest has been a good palate cleanser. You
Yeah,
appreciate everything you have more after having gone through that ordeal.
honestly, yeah, it also made me feel a lot better about my own writing. It's like, on V, there's always the meme that you will never be Anthony Birch. Oh, I've got you'll never be Archelon. That's a good feeling to have.
Yeah. No, and remember that guy got popular.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I think shitstorms can really hurt a quest. I suppose should I chat about the shitstorm I had? Shitstorms.
Sure. Well,
This
before you do that, I'd just like to say I think there are well, while shitstorms are for the most part bad, there are situations where shitstorms enhance the enjoyment of the thing, and I think Banish Quest was more fun because of constant fighting and shit posting and all of that, which basically lasted from the start all the way through its run.
well, yeah, I know what you mean. You can have quests that are enhanced by the shitstorms, but
Mm.
I think I had a load of shitstorms. My first shitstorm was when I was still an itty bitty new QM, and I had written and I had started this quest called Pandemic. It's a really bad quest, so make sure to never read it. I made it and it was horrible, and there was a lot of same fagging during the start, and everybody got super pissed off because everybody's fetishes clashed because I didn't put down a firm enough foot, and everybody was mad at everyone, including me. So that was a pretty fun way to start off the quest, and it all went downhill from there.
Yeah, no. I think we've spoken before on this podcast of the importance of strongly establishing your initial premise so that
Yes.
people understand what they're there for.
And that is the biggest mistake I made with pandemic, and it led to a big shitstorm, and it basically made it so it was never fun to run again, and then it sort of limped to a very unsatisfying conclusion about a year later. So yeah, that was one of the quests that I had a shitstorm on. Depravity was shitstorm free because that quest was perfection for in written form, but just joking.
What? What was
But
perfection written for? I missed
I was
that.
just joking about depravity, but I had
Yeah,
a big
yeah, sure.
shitstorm in Path of Ascendance, which was miraculously
D-
shitstorm free
didn't you?
for a while.
Mm. And didn't you have something about fucking a dog or something in Hymn for the Glory of the Goddess? Or am I mixing your
And
quests up?
that was in Fad Quest.
Fad. No,
So
wasn't there another one in For the Glory of the Goddess?
okay, let me think of the shitstorms I had. There was a shitstorm in Path of Ascendance, and that was because the players revealed to the bad guys the location of somebody they were trying to keep hidden. Then the bad guys came, and everything went bad for the players. That was that shitstorm. There was a shitstorm in a Fad Quest, and that happened because the main character had an animal wolf companion that was like their pet dog slash best friend, and they got screwed in the butt, and it traumatized the main character so much he willingly got his memory of that event wiped. It forces him to go into like a berserker state every time he remembers it.
Yes.
I guess another shitstorm in Fad happened like a week, not even a week ago, like a few days ago, uh, with the players basically torturing the main character's sister, and she told them to fuck off and quit, and then they killed themselves. The way I do it in that quest is the best thing to do, which is every time they die in the isekai world, they wake up alive back in the um, real human world in various states of
Oh yeah,
death.
I remember. I remember that earlier. There's been a shitstorm every time you've done that, as far as
Yeah.
I.
So this time, or last time, the main character tried to kill himself in the real world. He was wearing his VR head like gear so he could go into the isekai world, and then shot himself while falling off a building while setting himself on fire, and he lived. So yeah, this
All
time
right.
he was thrown in an insane asylum and then kidnapped by a rich billionaire who used his knowledge of magic to become a lich and take over the world before killing him. So that was pretty entertaining. That was really fun to write, actually. Players got really mad with it, but it's very cathartic to just write a load of crap while while they're dealing with it, and I think it helps them deal with
And
it too.
you have well, the thing about that is, you haven't really topped your own the previous death.
Mm.
You've just like now upped the scale of things happening around the death. It
Yeah,
won't you won't be able to say, well, you survived this even more impossible to survive thing because the previous impossible to survive thing they survived. So you've sort of stepped down rather than stepping it up.
I mean, the main character did get shot twice in the back of the head, like literally twice. But
Well, I mean, is that really more severe than shooting yourself while on fire on while falling down from the top of a building?
yeah, I guess the main character is probably gonna live through that though. I'm gonna have a whole side plot every time the players fuck up and need to go back to the real world. It's gonna be great. I love it.
No, I mean, I'm just saying they should have been dropped slowly into an incinerator while all of their toes disappear and the lich makes fun of them or some shit. I don't know.
The Lich is actually very friendly with the main character. The reason the Lich killed the dude was basically because he liked it,
Ah,
because the main
hmm.
character wanted to go back.
Okay, I understand.
Uh,
Well, you'll just have to top it next time.
yeah, I can think of something to top it. And then the other quest, shitstorm was no, nothing really came to me in Glory of the Goddess. But I've had my few shitstorms, and my advice for QMs who do have shitstorms and looking for ways to get rid of them, the best thing to do about it is to not have a shitstorm in the first place, because they're really terrible.
What about just keeping calm and continuing on?
Yes. Yes, that works.
I mean, that'd be my advice. Just stay calm. Don't get mad. It'll just make it worse. You know, either abandon the quest entirely or just chill, man.
Just chill, man. Um, yeah, I think shitstorms as a whole are just one day we won't need shitstorms, but for now we do.
Shitstorms are not the hero we deserve, but the one we need right now.
Exactly. We need shitstorms so that QMs don't get too mad with power. And we need salt storms so players don't abuse their QMs. Yeah, I mean, shitstorms there have been a lot over the years. I remember all the shitstorms in Blatant Fetish Quest as well. They were fun.
Yeah, I mean, after a while, you stop seeing the point, sort of. I mean, can't remember the last time I actually got mad over the situation, which, well, no, I didn't even get mad at the duel. Once you get enough experience as a player, I think you sort of become immune.
Dude, I knew the duel was coming and I've been reading Quest for years and I still got mad. I have no clue how the people there still don't have impacted anuses from that event.
Well, I was just, well, shit. This is enough. I'm done with this. And that was enough for me.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think that
I think it's the first time I've actually really just dropped something for real beyond just, oh, well, this is boring. It was a proper dropping, you could say.
drop it like it's hot. So yeah, all things considered, I think that's it for the topic of shitstorms. Do you want to brainstorm my topics for next week?
Sure, sure.
Got like 5 minutes left.
Yeah, that's fine. Writing styles. What the? Nah, someone in the chat says writing styles, and I don't know what that means.
How each person writes.
Yes, but what would you discuss? Why would you discuss that in the context of a quest?
Details versus dialogue. Um,
Like,
chat.
my advice would only be Stephen King's advice, which is read a lot of shit and do what feels right when it
Okay,
comes to writing styles.
I think I have a suggestion which could help counteract how bad Princess God Quest was for me. Right? Uh, why don't we find a
Let's
guest?
hear it.
Yeah? Why don't we find a guest, which we should be able to find. Then we each suggest our favorite quest and try to sell it to that person.
Okay, that sounds somewhat interesting.
Then we've got
We need to find someone who hasn't read. I can't remember what your favorite quest is, but they can't have read uh, Sexual Encounter Quest, which is my favorite, almost beyond the shadow of a doubt.
well that
But what's your favorite then?
ooh, what's my favorite? That's a very interesting question.
Well, you're the one who came up with the fucking topic. You have to have a favorite.
Yeah, I know,
Otherwise, the
man.
topic doesn't work.
But it's
I
like
mean,
I've got to give me some
I mean,
time to think.
we could make this a competition. We
Oh,
have our top three most favorite quests, and we each set them against one of the opponent's one, and
yeah,
then the one who wins the most points, like the one who gets the
yeah,
convinces the guest that their quest, most of that quest is more interesting than the opponent's quest, wins the game.
Yeah, that could work. But on the topic of favorite quest, you can't just ask a man his favorite quest. I mean, it's like
I mean, you could ask me my favorite quest, and I'd answer you pretty quick, and that's SEQ.
no, it's like if somebody asked me what my favorite video game was, it's very
I
difficult
I
to
wouldn't
answer.
I wouldn't be able to answer that, but I can answer my favorite quest.
Like, I mean, I really enjoyed Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, but I know it's not that good. I just had a lot of fun with it. Really like Dark Souls 3 as well, but I think I've played two more, so it definitely can't be by playtime. Hate most other games. Don't use the fucking fun is just a buzzword thing, Kaz. Uh, yeah,
Kaz
for me,
says, don't use fun to describe relative enjoyment. Fun is just a buzzword. And I say to you, Kaz, everything is done just to communicate with other people. It's all a meme. Literally, based on the original definition of the word fucking meme.
uh, I don't know. So as for my favorite quest, golly, gee whiz, I think my favorite quest might be. Uh, I don't really like quests that much, if I'm being honest. Uh,
And yet you said before that you
basically live
live,
for quests.
yes.
Yeah, the very a deep insight into the personal
You
life of
don't,
MZ.
basically, you don't have a lot of reasons, you don't have a lot of ties to this mortal plane, you could say.
Yeah, basically. Uh, I
Not a lot holding you back from ascending to godhood.
yeah, pretty much. I reckon that. Okay, favorite quest, favorite quest. Like blatant fetish quest. That was really shit in some places. Uh,
Problem with BFQ is that it might be in my top three as well.
I like the exalted quests. Or the two that I've read, I really liked. Um, yeah, I like the one on TG and QST, and I enjoyed the one with fucking the one on Aiken. I thought that was really good.
The
Um,
one, the one, the one, the one, yes.
the House Memnon. I guess that would
Oh, you're talking about Exalted Quest. Oh, okay.
yeah. Um,
You
I
know,
say
he's listening in voice chat right now.
oh yeah, I like your quest, dude. Um,
He's running it right now, as a matter
yeah.
while listening to this podcast.
Well, um, Holly. What else did I really enjoy from the realm of questing? Uh, there were a few there were a few things on QQ. I really liked Evolving Quest on Aiken before it died. Um, mm, nothing lolly-centric but like depravity. Uh, I don't know, man. It's hard to think of them. Lost Mind had some good stuff as well, yeah, but I wouldn't rank it as my favorite. Um, I'd say that one of my other favorite quests was done by was the like what I read of the Magical Boy quest run by Magical Shonen by QB.
Whoa,
I
whoa,
didn't like
whoa,
the
whoa,
end,
whoa,
but I
whoa,
really liked
whoa,
the
whoa,
first
whoa.
couple parts.
Whoa, 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 man. Whoa. Hold up, man. Hold up. You're saying you liked Maho Shonen?
For a period of time, yeah, it was my kind of thing.
Isn't that the worst rated quest of all time?
No,
Like if you
there are two different
they're
Mahashonens.
okay, maybe you're referring to
Yeah,
another one. All right.
yeah. Talking about QB's one.
Okay. That's
Yeah, that was probably good. That was one of my favorites. I like my own stuff sometimes, not all the time. A lot of the time, it's sort of trash. Fuck, man. That should not be as hard a question to answer as it is. Uh, oh, okay. Yeah, no, I've actually thought of my actual favorite quest. my actual favoritist. It was this quest done by this dude who fucking disappeared on us. It was called I want to say it's called Cyberpunk Yandere.
Oh yeah, Cyberpunk Yonder. I remember that.
I loved that quest. I thought that quest was the tits.
He
Had the,
run, he runs, he ran several quests in that same style. Like he also ran, if I remember the quest you're referring to correctly. He ran some. Okay, I wouldn't call it a favorite, but I mean, are we going to do this?
yeah, I mean, we can try to find someone throughout the week, and if we can't, we can always think of a different topic. But I can think harder on what my actual favorite quests are.
Well, I mean, we gotta have some new guy here who hasn't read. Nah, I read a lot of old TG stuff, and because we're probably, to let's be honest, we're probably not gonna be putting a lot of Anonkun shit on our top three.
Joke's on you.
Whatever. But even then, it's gonna be older stuff generally. I think.
Yeah,
Well, probably because of nostalgia. Everything seems better in retrospect.
yeah. I think. Now that I think about it, there's one old quest that I like, which I've suggested here before, which is "I Hate How I Love You," which I will recommend literally everybody to read if you're ever considering writing on
Oh
Aiken.
yes, yes, of course. I remember. I think I actually have I have a bookmark for.
Yeah, the main character is the shittest human being on the planet, and it's wonderful. Yeah, but I think let's
I
just
yeah.
yeah. I'll
I
link
think that's it.
Cyberpunk Yandere after this, but other than that, I think that's it for the session. So I'm MZ.
So, are we doing top three or just our favorite?
Yeah, think of our top three for next week. Um,
Okay, that's good.
I'm MZ. I run FadQuest. The next time it will be going live is like in 10 minutes because I want to make a cup of tea and take a shit. Um, yeah, and Spuds.
I I am Spuds of the Apocalypse, also known as Swedish Jew. I run somehow I've forgotten what it's called. That's not a good sign. It's called oh jeez. It yeah no I forgot the name of my own quest. Let me check my Anonkun.
That's not a good sign, Spuds.
Dogs of War. It's called Dogs of War. It's a kind of shit. Don't read it. I'm terrible, and I also failed to run last week, which means I am the most terrible person in the world. I last run Monday before this Monday, so I haven't run in almost 2 weeks. I
Nice.
am, however, running on Sunday.
Good job. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you hopefully next week. Hopefully, you won't fuck up and have to skip a week again.
Of course we are. Now, see you all the week after next.
Bye bye.